Hello and welcome to the Boskovice Jewish Ghetto, one of the best preserved and most interesting Jewish areas in the Czech Republic. We are now standing in front of the only gate to the ghetto which has remained until today. The Jews probably started to settle in Boskovice shortly after its foundation, at the beginning of the 13th century. However, the first written evidence about Jewish community comes from the middle of the 16th century, stating that around this area stood about 25 houses with some 150 inhabitants. In the second half of the 19th century, there lived almost 2,000 people of the Jewish origin. The Jews even had their own administration with a mayor, police, and fire brigade. In its history, the Jewish quarter has witnessed numerous tragic events, such as plague epidemics or devastating fires, and that is why most of the buildings you can see here were built in the first half of the 19th century. One of the worst outbreaks of fire happened in 1823, when the large part of the ghetto burned down and had to be rebuilt. Tragic fate of the Boskovice Jews reached its peak in March 1942 during the Nazi occupation of our country, then Czechoslovakia, when all the Jewish citizens were transported to concentration camps. Out of nearly 500 people, only 14 survived and returned back. This horrible event is commemorated by this memorial plaque. Boskovice Jewish Ghetto can boast of several architectural landmarks. The most prominent is the Great Synagogue, or in Hebrew, Synagogue Mayor. It was built in 1639 by an Italian architect, Silvestro Fiotta, who lived in Boskovice at that time. Some 60 years later, the synagogue was expanded to its current size. Over the centuries, it has been modified several times, and its present look is due to the reconstruction in the first decade of the century. The visitors enter the synagogue through this vestibule, where they can start admiring these beautiful wall decorations. This is the main hall. In front of you, on the east wall, there is an ornamental chamber called Holy Ark or Aron HaKodesh, with the scrolls of Torah, the Jewish sacred scripts that were read during the Jewish prayers. In the middle, there is an elevated platform called Bima, used for reading Torah. It is surrounded by wooden benches for male audience. Here's the balcony for the boys' choir and the gallery for women and children, as they were separated from men during the Jewish religious service. The synagogue contained a total of 134 men, 147 women, and 72 children's seats. The ceiling and the walls are decorated with Baroque ornamental frescoes with numerous plant motifs, as well as symbols typical for the Jewish culture and religion, such as menorah, a lamp with 7 branches, and on the left there is a table with showbread, and on the top of menorah we can see a symbol that represents 4 species of plants from the Holy Land, citrus fruit, palm leaves bound with 2 willow branches, and sprigs of myrtle. Flora and fauna ornaments, such as flowers, leaves, animals like parrots, exotic birds, or lions, are based on motif of folk art and represent typical decoration in Czech synagogues. This unique style was brought to our country in the second half of the 17th century by the Jewish refugees from Poland. In the basement of this house, one of the oldest in the Jewish quarter, we can find a remarkable spot related to the Jewish customs and traditions. This is so-called mikveh, or ritual bath. It is a tank with pure natural water used for various ritual purposes. The mikveh should have at least 762 liters of water and be deep enough to allow the adult to fully immerse. There are less than 20 mikvehs in the Czech Republic that have survived until the present. Despite the sad fact that the Jewish people have vanished from the picturesque ghetto, their legacy remains. So if you have a chance, do not hesitate, come to visit Boskovice Jewish Quarter and admire its beautiful architecture and rich history.